Hi all, and thanks for joining my little homemade review channel. If you do fancy supporting, don't be afraid to like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I want to start by saying Christiane F is one of my favourite ever movies, and it's one of the main reasons I started this little channel is to shout about those movies that I really love. Now, I'm not expecting a whole host of views for this video. After all, I'm sure the world is not calling out for a review of an early 80s German movie about teenage heroin addicts, but here we are. So let me give you a bit of background. Before COVID, my 9 to 5 involved a lot of travel, a lot of hotel stays. Now, if you spend a lot of time away from home like I did, you get to watch a lot of movies. So there I was, one night in another nameless hotel in the middle of who knows where, trying to find something to watch. And at this point, I think I was subscribed to every single streaming service possible. So there I was, scrolling around trying to find something to watch. And there I saw it on the BFI channel, Christiane F. I'd actually never heard of it. It had a really intriguing cover with David Bowie all over it. So I popped it on and I was simply blown away. So what's the background to this mighty low-budget German indie movie, I hear you ask? Well, Christiane F is from 1981 and it's the biographical drama that's based on the 1978 non-fiction book We Children from Zoo Station. The book itself was transcribed by Kai Hermann and Horst Rick from tape recording interviews from a young Christiane F. The writers had met the 16-year-old in 1978 in Berlin when she was a witness in a trial of a man who was paying underage girls for sex in return for heroin. The two journalists were really keen to highlight the growing heroin epidemic amongst Berlin teenagers at the time. So what's this film really all about? Well, the film starts as we meet a 13-year-old Christiane who lives with her mother and her young sister in a really run-down concrete social housing complex, which is just on the outskirts of West Berlin. It appears that her mother is really absorbed in a relationship with a new boyfriend, and the young Christiane is pretty much left to her own devices, really. She soon hears of a new nightclub called Sound, which is a real hip place in the centre of Berlin. And although she's only 13 years old at the time and nowhere near old enough to get in, she starts dressing up, wearing high heels, makeup, etc., and manages to get in. And once she's there, a whole new world opens up to her. At the club, she soon meets an older boy called Detlef, who is part of a clique where everybody uses lots of different drugs. And no time at all, she actually becomes part of this new group. Christiane starts smoking, taking LSD in addition to abusing pills. And then after a David Bowie concert, she tries heroin for the first time. And as she falls in love with Detlef, Christiane becomes more and more dependent on using heroin on a regular basis. Originally just to be close to him, and then as she uses more, she becomes a full-blown addict. And then after her 14th birthday, she effectively stops going home. She spends more and more time at her friend's unkept, dirty apartment. And she's drawn to Barnard Zoo, which is a large train and subway station, and it was notorious for drug trafficking and prostitution. There she starts to prostitute herself, imitating Detlef, who also sells sexual favours to male clients on a regular basis to support his heroin addiction. Now, I don't want to say any more than this, just in case you've not seen it, but it would be fair to say this is certainly not a date movie. So let's talk about the cast. Well, the cast is composed mainly of first-time actors, many of who were still at school at the time, and apart from the lead, they haven't actually acted since. While most of the extras you see in the film and the railway station and at Sound were actually drug users and sex workers. The fact that we're effectively watching non-actors really makes a difference here, and it creates a realism that you just wouldn't get with more seasoned professionals. I also think the age of the actors really creates shock value, as we have 12 to 15-year-olds playing their age. And considering the subject matter, I don't think this would ever happen again. I actually believe it's banned now, as the characters would all be played by 18 to 20-year-olds. So what I'm really saying here is the cast is absolutely incredible. You really feel their naivety and believe their performances entirely. For me, the low-budget nature of this film really adds to the grimy aesthetic of the movie, as it's bleak and dreary, depicting a dilapidated working-class Berlin that's run down, dirty and frankly seedy. While the soundtrack provided by the late great David Bowie is the perfect accompaniment to the visuals on display here. I do believe that actually without his involvement the movie may have never been made. So thank you, David. So why is this film so good? Well, to me it's really eye-opening. It's a raw experience. The camera just never looks away. And for me to say a film is truly shocking is really rare, but in this case that's exactly what the film sets out to achieve and delivers in spades. We have scenes of children shooting up in dirty public toilets. We see vomit-soaked withdrawals and horrific teen prostitution, while the whole world looks the other way. In one particular disturbing scene, a junkie climbs over a public toilet stall to steal her fix, injecting himself in the neck. Then he hands back the used syringe and thanks her, all in front of the horrified gaze of an elderly woman. And there's no let-up here, no Hollywood glamour, it's just realism. The fact that it was filmed at the same time and using the same locations as the actual events make this film even more believable. The film to me was designed as a warning to the world to wake up to this heroin epidemic, and as at the time Berlin was the centre of teenage heroin use. The fact that many of the scenes were shot secretly with hidden cameras as you go through Berlin Zoo station, and you see real life junkies at the station, and it gives you the realism that this film really deserves. It doesn't take a genius to work out what this film is really trying to say. It's saying drugs are really bad, and it shows the slippery slope of addiction. It highlights the forgotten who hide in plain sight, ignored by mainstream society. It's a cry for help. Now, did this film change anything? Well, the real Christiane F. actually went on to become a minor celebrity, but alas, her struggle with drugs continued. While the movie sparked really important discussions around drug addiction and actually led to increased support for rehabilitation centres, and ultimately still continues to be relevant today, and it serves a real cautionary tale about the dangers of drug use. Now, in the aftermath of the film's release, the actual train station, Bahnhof Zoo, was redeveloped and the city was acutely aware of what had been going on under their nose. Overall, it's a powerhouse of a movie, a true cautionary tale that is possibly one of the most realistic films of its type I've ever seen. There's no glamour here of the Requiem for a Dream or a Trainspotting. It really is just brutal realism, played to perfection by a really, really young cast. Now, if you do like this type of movie, I can also recommend Toxic Love, which is an Italian film actually with very similar themes. As mentioned in a previous video, this film is in my top 10 films of all time. It's a very challenging, difficult watch, but it's an absolutely worthy watch, but certainly not a family movie. It's a 5 out of 5. Well, that's it from me. I just want to say thank you for listening to me blabber on about why I think Christiane F. is such an important, fascinating and incredible movie. If you haven't seen it, I do urge you to try and find it. It is just simply breathtaking. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you fancy subscribing and helping this little channel, that would be great. Or if you've seen this film and want to leave a comment, please do so. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. That's all from me. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.